It's now my great pleasure, and I mean, Jochen said it's the great finale, Adam and Jack, and now it's Ed. It's my great pleasure as the third part of this great finale to introduce Ed Atkins, or reintroduce Ed Atkins, because Ed has contributed many times to the marathons before. We all remember his legendary performance, Depression, in the Memory Marathon. More recently, you've all seen, hopefully, Ed's show at the Serpentine Gallery, which brought together so many different aspects and also build not only connections with his work with moving image and with his voice, him singing, but also him as a writer, his whole connection to literature. And that connects to Adam Thirlwell, because as Jochen said, Adam, in the preparation of this marathon, been very involved in connecting or bridging the marathon to literature. So did Ed, by recommending as many poets and many writers. Ed has had many more exhibitions in the last months at the Palais de Tokyo, at the Kunsthalle Zurich, and also a show with Bruce Nauman at the Kunsthalle in Mainz. He will present here a new video called Happy Birthday, which is commissioned by the Biennial of Moving Image in Geneva. We thank Andrea Bellini very much, and it will be accompanied by a reading of a new text by Ed. Please give a very warm welcome to Ed Atkins. Happy birthday.
Hi. It's 2006, and I will, and you will, and he will, and she will, and they will, and it will, and we will, and we will, and I, 2 songs, and then we're out, okay? So 2 songs, and then we're out. And I wanted to read something by a friend of mine first. It's a friend of mine called Simon Thompson. It's a piece called Bluestone. It's very short. So this is Bluestone. Soft drinks can be classified into 3 categories: cola-flavored, fruit-flavored, or citrus-flavored. The colas, like Coke or Pepsi, are the favorite among real connoisseurs. There is nothing like a cola to pick up one on or refresh one on a hot day. The fruit-flavored drinks are for those with a sweet tooth because they are almost too sweet. The strawberry or grape flavor is frequently overwhelmed by sugar, and to many people, these drinks seem syrupy. The citrus-flavored colas, like Sprite or 7-Up, are for people who like a tangy drink, as these seem to be a paradoxical mixture of sweet and tart. Also, these drinks are good for mixing with other, stronger beverages. These types of soft drinks offer satisfaction for every type of taste buds. Now I'm going to read some prophecies for the future. And then 2 songs and we're out. 2 songs and then we're out. My darling interlocutory passerine, you will tenderly repossess the sorely possessed, and over and through a mouth rapaciously giving out entire hissing summers of wet green noise to drown out nothing so much as ignorance, which tends to the long-dead blue sky thinking thaumaturges, whose blood will be so despoiled of oxygen they might as well be forcibly identified as dreaming acanthuses. Leaves will carefully lift it in the already known to be futile hunt for a pair of jewel-like lungs, or simply something recognizable as futuristic genitals. Generally speaking, there will be no dearths identified with acceptance of and under the futuristic phony distressed clothing, distressingly haired moles skin tagging, and slowly hoiked back in awkward equivalence to nictitative membranes of extinct amphibians, only without eyes to get at, which will be all the better for preventing cowardice being rehomed instead of ahead of more deserving tax-paying parties. And your terrifying mercenary sensibility, which we will be in no doubt is the very headwater of men's fresh historic alone and well-deserved. Also, will changing all the laws that are barbaric and vile. The mirror stage will be retrieved at last from those principled elephants and great apes of flattering anthropomorphism, gifted with calm irresponsibility instead to my balding friends, the exposure-wrecked pigeons, staggering out from beneath frowning underpasses, feet eroded piratical by sustained contact with fried chicken and potato guano. Exhausted, soft skulls poison shrunk from olid and discarded black seed on spiked sills, or the swing of dull, unchecked toddler's fat leg. And it will dawn, slowly rising flocks, the smut of the sun, as if a beak could crack a smile over 1,000 years. And here lies hope, practically, literally. The London Met will be humbled, hats off, numbers I won't even need to see with water-cannoned eyes. And it won't be beautiful, but instead monstrous, the heraldic crest of a troll emblazoned on everyone's tongues to lick past wounds because they taste groundingly cheap. The very wind was against them then. So why should it be any different 1,000 years hence when it whips up razor-edged red ice bits and unimpeachable screams at 1 billion miles per hour on a whim? And I just remembered your cheeks, darling. And the conspirators were 14 of a party, summarily stay, and just doing it would be enough at that or this point, so let's just stroke with what we have. Hands with pussies affixed, somewhat but never less than, and a filled-to-capacity coffin of emergent interest, made from psyched and cudded bamboo, branded X-board, lemonwood, hickory, purple heart, and restaurant-grade banana leaf, laminated, will be put into the red-hot iron server, son, where 7 of the very best children are already sort of interred and or dead, and contingent everything. Safe conduct. Uncles and aunts and the cousins and the rest of that extended mitochondrial excess extended will impale the walls with their unanimous flaming right, lamenting to see thus dead the soft purple fruit of their redundant line. The next best thing will epically not. In 8045, the sun will open like a fridge, or as so much as not a cat's eye, and a thing existing, seemingly without any, senses, will cause its own end to really happen through convincing artifice, the lifelike. And you'll poke it with an elder twig right in the skyward eye, and juice will sluice and lick and lick. Only we really do bear the permanence, just in the wrong place, I think. So 1, an unpleasant overstuffed knee pocket on the khaki cargo pants with the insouciant midriff. 2, a dry marsupial all-natural pouch on a pine CD shelf and lined with a pubic scalp of parched tobacco fibrils and frayed edge-graying filters and bum-sweat-pleated welded licorice Rizzler, like elderly Southern Hemisphere-fled collaborators very used to sewing terminal appointments like cancer, even if all up in those non-indictable what it really is, such a shock to see taken so promptly. 3, a cold frame breeze block misted Tupperware suite. 4, literally right back up David Cameron's forever friend rent urethra expectant blowhard and hotel safe silence pin stripping peel back glue gap. And the clinging tearing foley accompanying that, with not at all legitimating REM all the way to Rockville, we will half haul, half rip it out, and the body, limp, will be limp because it's dead and won't ever de-limp because it's dead. In a bit, the super-rich time-traveling in order to snipe dinosaurs in the massive artless face, and with expanding depleted dum-dums from close range. And an hour in, muggy 10 men with impunity and disregard for the fundamental temporal laws, everyone swatting countless iridescent purple butterflies in a grove, grinding them into the ooze with boots and deck shoes and fag butts, and nearby, smashing up a cratered dry mud nest of huge oblong eggs, eerie, oversized fetuses skidding about, stuck over with thick shards. Later, bulldozing, thronged, scurrying compsognathuses with and in black bull-barred, raised suspensioned yellow and logoed Hummers across some sort of vast, stunning pampas. Donuts pulled in the orange dirt, cobalt cloud-wreathed and golden sun, and purple-fringed mountains the matte distance, and something circling, and pimped matte black rifles, and all the computer-assisted fetish gear, racked and bolt-mounted. Fuck it, as they moor to the hindquarters off proud ankylosaur. Who gives a fat rat's unloading into cheery Diplodocus sequoial neck? machine gunning a family of terrifically handsome pterodons right out of the sky, right over the pebbly beach, right onto the pebbly beach with a cartilaginous spank, audible above the roll of chthonic surf, behind and beneath which, etc., the flat pop and crack as that peculiar osteocrockery arrayed along dear Stegosaurus's spine are wet smithereened with shotguns for all. Sexy triceratops, dynamite demolished like a totally occupied estate. Impossible geysers of Cretaceous blood, and the sound of thunder, Natch. Everyone in the world, red, roaring feedback red from the global nervous system. White eyes, white teeth, down the camera. Legendary bloody world, affirmed legendary, bloody, and with men. Returning to the current with gory spoils, and to a world so massively unchanged as to simply be. Totally identical in every soul-destroying way. And we'll hobble the metaphors all the way down as a kind of time travel, money words. And not only, but also ancient and oceanic amounts of moon and sunshine. And the upshot will be the reassertion of authority. And that will so happen, definitively, over and over. I'm telling you, authority will descend from up, on, and in that familiar form of ugly spent cock, half enwrapping a lubed riding crop and reasserting itself over and over until fully inserted, asserted rod, right? The steel bar will be a surrogate. The violence will be a deferral, though no less, and so toward a totally deniable brick wall. Maybe I didn't treat you quite as good as I should have. Maybe I didn't love you quite as often as I could have. Little things I should have said and done, I just never took the time. You were always on my mind. You were always on my mind. Maybe I didn't hold you all those lonely, lonely times. And I guess I never told you I'm so happy that you're mine. If I make you feel second best, girl, I'm so sorry I was blind. You were always on my mind. You were always on my mind. Tell me that your sweet love hasn't died. Give me one more chance to keep you satisfied. There are, 2 or 3 billion ways of vocably shitting on women in our parlance. You say, walking home the other night, you're wearing mules and I'm wearing flip-flops, a pair of loosely synced deck-landed fish. Wafwap thup. It's summer. Numbers are the most exquisite personal metaphors, I chance to the ground. I think of 2012, 1492, my bank account, my inside leg, my dick, the occluded measurable, those private, intimate digits. But how do I pronounce this fucker? Asks the topless man leaning out the window of our second-floor flat, smoking. Precisely, you sigh, and we go inside. Figuration yawns and undoes. It will not do, literally. And you go totally berserk. Outside, the sky opens. Lightning shafts, thunderclaps, and rain pelts, sounding the concrete, the cars, the local kids darting polyester tracksuits. Thinks, if only drenching our inappropriate clothing, if only confusing our tears. Inside, the topless man comes downstairs and sits at the table, ready. And you scream mourning for the forgotten millennia when no one could fucking sex anything. And the forgotten beginnings and rumblings and downhill ever since. A borborygmus, settles the bad guts of the dead wolf over there in a ripple of time-lapse and fucked-up French horns. Mulched leaves bank dank back in accord. And you crack a smile, and the sun beams, and the air whistles, and the wolf's guts seem to enunciate terrifically well. And freed from all that horrid syntactic curbing, those bad black guts can't mean it. Not really. Not at all. Just casually purging into the surroundings. Plain song from some void. Elective mute, and all the humans zip it.